hello. Oh my
I thought
gosh.
you were starting. I thought like, I thought you were already starting.
Well, hello. Welcome. Well, hello. Hello. Welcome to Edu-meh-cation. I'm Kari.
And I'm Heather. Today we are going to start very lightly peeling off the layers of a pretty big topic. We're going to talk about something called PBIS. PBIS stands for Positive Behavioral Interventions and Supports.
Yes. And the reason this is a topic we're speaking on now is because the majority of conversations we've had or emails we've gotten from educators and parents alike are focusing on the frustrations with behaviors in the classrooms. And we personally have experienced similar frustrations.
We have. Before we start to delve into what those frustrations might be, we want you to understand a little bit about what PBIS is. However, know that there's so much information out there. You can simply Google PBIS and you will find more information than you will know what to do with. But let's tell you a little bit about what PBIS is. It's a tiered framework with the goal of supporting students' behavioral, academic, social, emotional, and mental health.
We were curious, yes, we've heard of it, but how did it start?
Right.
We weren't sure when and how it started. And it's based on B.F. Skinner's work, actually, and his research and everything. But it was actually invented by the federal government, which that was a surprise to both of us.
New information.
Yeah. And their current website is run by the Department of Education.
Right. And you know what I was thinking about with that whole, knowing that it came from B.F. Skinner, if you're not familiar with PBIS, you might have heard before of the carrot and the stick. That's basically, in a real loose way, explaining B.F. Skinner's philosophies.
Yep.
That your behavior isn't going to change without outward support,
motivation. Yep, exactly. Yep, good point. And the PBIS was actually an amendment to the 1997 Individuals with Disabilities Act, the IDEA, which I'm guessing many of you educators have heard of. But yeah, that was the 1997 amendment.
Which we also talked about the fact that, we began a couple years before that.
Yep.
And so we saw the classroom before this change was made by the government. And then we experienced most of our teaching career after this was implemented.
Right.
So there are 3 goals to PBIS. And the goals are, I think you would agree, great goals to have. So the problem is we just don't know if PBIS is the answer to getting us to these goals.
Correct.
The first goal is to improve social, emotional competence, academic success, and school climate. What we have noticed and what teachers have shared with us that they are noticing is behaviors are getting worse, not better. That's true nationally. It's not a specific city or state or district. Nationally, teachers are frustrated with behaviors and how students maybe even are coming into school not learning that social emotional competency.
Yes. And here's an interesting thought. When I was in Norway this past summer, I asked them about just the school settings, and they too are seeing an increase in the emotional instability and behaviors.
And that for sure is another topic we should have. We have definitely a list of things we want to talk about, but you can easily say, well, parenting's the reason, but there's a lot of reasons. And parenting is probably just one little nugget on top of all these other things, including technology
Yep.
and just a lot of things. So we'll come back to that at another podcast.
For sure.
But that is interesting to hear. So internationally as well. Yeah.
Right.
So the first goal is to improve, as I said, the social, emotional, behavioral, mental health aspects, and also the school climate. That's a great goal.
Yeah.
The second goal is to improve, their second goal is to improve teacher health and well-being. And that, I laugh at that because I feel like in many ways, and this is my own personal opinion, it hasn't improved my mental health or well-being. It's added more stress in different ways.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good. I'm glad our shared
brain.
It actually, what we've been hearing from teachers and through conversations and the emails that you're sending is that it's doing the opposite. It's causing more burnout. It's causing more discouragement. And we're not saying PBIS specifically, but the way that we're going about implementing PBIS is not alleviating any of our concerns or helping us with our well-being.
Exactly. Yeah. Not the end all be all.
No. And the third goal for PBIS is stated that the goal is to create positive, predictable, equitable, and safe learning environments where everyone thrives. That is a huge goal. And when you start saying things like everyone,
right,
that's a lofty goal. Right. And there have been times where it has felt like it wasn't for everyone.
Exactly.
Or equitable.
For sure.
And I mean equitable in a different sense than what we normally think about. When you think about equality or equity, those are two different things, but equity is making sure everyone has the same opportunity and ability to succeed. What we notice and what we're hearing from teachers is that it actually supports bad behaviors.
Yes.
And then those students that are already behaving well, it's not equitable because they were already doing what they were supposed to do. And you can start seeing their behaviors get worse.
Yep.
To receive these same type of rewards.
Same rewards. Yep. Yep. And that's, we've definitely lived those frustrations.
Yes, we have.
Like an example we read about is a superintendent even might set a district-wide goal around improving climate and culture in middle school buildings, or really all school buildings. Sure. Or a principal might set a goal around fewer incident reports in their elementary school. Classroom teachers might set goals for individual students, including improved academic and social emotional growth, which these are all great ideas, but it's not what educators are seeing in the buildings.
No, and I kind of think another part of this onion, Kari, is when they talk about less referrals, that feels like maybe putting a Band-Aid over something or pretending like it's better than it is. Just because there's less referrals doesn't mean the behaviors aren't happening. It just means that teachers and administrators are maybe feeling pressure not to make referrals that should be made. I don't know, but I do feel like if you base a goal off of the number of referrals you have, then you're going to want to reach that goal. You're going to really encourage your schools and your teachers to solve it without having to make referrals.
Yes. Yep. Exactly.
So another layer that we can come back to and visit at some point with this.
For sure. Yeah. And those numbers of incident reports. Yeah. That's another avenue is, teachers are trying to teach, and taking the time to do an incident report is really, really a challenge, as any of you who are educators know that. But that is another, we're going to be pulling an all-nighter with these topics.
I hope so. That's great. So we thought that we would share an anecdotal story with you. And as we said, all stories will remain anonymous about the student and whatnot. This is a personal story to us that has happened in the last 30 years.
Yep. So we're okay not being anonymous
right.
because it's our story.
Right. And so this story was when we were team teaching, and Kari was up at the front teaching. And I was interacting with each of the students as they're learning. And this student of ours had a lot going on in their home life and a lot of needs. They didn't want to learn that day. They decided they didn't like the lesson. They didn't want to learn. And so they became very distracting to the rest of the class, to the point of screaming, banging the desk, just really trying to distract the lesson. Yes. So I approached the child and I invited them to come outside of the classroom with me. I thought we'd go on a walk, or we could I just wanted to protect the student's dignity and also the learning that was going on in the classroom. And so I was trying to remove this child before it escalated anymore. She didn't like that idea.
No.
So as Kari's teaching and I'm over there trying to, be down on her level and talk to her, she wraps her arms around the desk and she wraps her legs around the desk so that there's no way to easily move her. And also there's a lot of, you have to be very careful about hands-on anytime with students. And there's a lot of training that goes with that. And there's a lot of just kind of the message I would say is hands off, basically.
Yes.
As a classroom teacher.
No exceptions, basically. Yeah.
Right.
Message we get. Yep.
So knowing that also, I ended up making a call to some of the rest of our team that works with her. And then 3 other adults came in. We continued to try to convince her to go on her own. She wouldn't. So no hands were laid on her, but the whole desk got slid out of the room while Kari is teaching. The whole desk. We slid the whole desk out of the room. With her banging and kicking the whole time.
Yeah. And the other students really trying to ignore it.
Really trying.
Yeah.
And so we get out into the hall and then find out she has a pencil that she starts pushing towards me like she's going to stab me. Starts punching me, hitting me, kicking me. There were bruises afterwards. And the whole time, I'm kind of like, I can't put hands on. But now there's physical things happening. So I did have to, with the help of another teammate, kind of, as we have been taught, calm her down in the best way possible. Finally got her calmed down. The team, the other adults that were there, left with her to take her to a new setting where she could hopefully regulate those emotions and feelings. I go back into the classroom. We continue teaching our students. I don't think she was gone. You and I were talking about this. Maybe 20 minutes?
Maybe 20 minutes, yeah. Not long.
Now, if I tell you the looks on the other students' faces while it was happening in the classroom were just as concerning as what was happening with her.
Correct.
They were not feeling safe. They were confused. Some students don't or may have never seen that type of behavior in their homes or lives. And it was scary for some of the other students remaining.
Right.
So 20 minutes later, all of a sudden, she's coming back into the classroom, slams open the door, basically like, I'm back. She might have even said that. I don't remember, but it was definitely a spectacle of her walking in.
Yeah.
But she walked in with a bag of freshly popped popcorn and a bottle of lemonade. This was part of the PBIS reward that she got because she was able to calm herself down. Now, what is so concerning for us is how that affected all the other students in the classroom. They were doing what they were supposed to. This child was very aggressive, affecting other people's feelings of safety.
Yeah. Hurting their teacher.
Yeah, physically
They
aggressive.
that.
They did see that.
Yeah.
And then they see that she comes back in with popcorn and lemonade. And this was early on in the school year.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when we have these discussions about positive behavioral interventions and supports, this is where we think things get skewed, and we are supporting behaviors in a way that, first of all, isn't realistic, isn't going to help them as adults, and isn't showing equity for all students.
Yep.
It just isn't.
Exactly. Yes. So after that, Heather and I requested to meet with the team because that was something that we were not okay with. We didn't feel comfortable with what happened with her getting those rewards. And so we told them that.
We had even said, if that was part of the plan for her, it should have stayed in that room until she was finished. We're not saying we're against all of this. I am not a huge proponent.
Yeah.
But I can see the benefits of some things along the line, and I see what the goals are for it.
For sure.
We have just had better success.
Yes.
And think it's probably a healthier way to help our students grow into society.
Exactly. To be those lifelong learners and get ready for the real world.
Right.
Yeah.
Without giving these rewards
for everything. Exactly. Yes. Yes. But yeah, and they we told them that it doesn't go with our personal philosophies and what's best for the child. So that we feel that is always important, is to let people know our expectations and how we want what's best for those kids in our classrooms. And just some considerations that we have used during our team teaching years on this topic. We have always tried hard to set distinct, like direct boundaries with our students, and communicating those expectations and what those boundaries are, and really, what are the consequences if those expectations aren't met? Even at the lower elementary level, they can handle that.
Absolutely. They actually thrive on that. So the other thing that's really important with that is following through on those expectations and consequences. Yep. What we have found is that's vital, just like it would be in the home. If you tell your child, you're going to be grounded if you don't do this, and then you never ground them, that's not going to change the behavior. But we found that the students that need help with self-regulation, or the students that maybe are a little bit more immature with their social or emotional health, if they know what to expect, if they know what your expectations are, they know what the boundaries are, and they know what the consequences are, and you follow through with those consequences, they start to thrive. Yeah. Because they want boundaries. They want that help to guide them with making the right choices or learning what right choices are. Yep. And I would say that, although I feel like, I feel like we have a very good relationship with our past students. I mean, we're still in contact with so many of them. But I would say our hardest students were probably some of the ones that we became closest with. Yep. Because they thrived. If you follow through with those consequences.
Yep. And I think just we built that trust with them too. Like they trusted us, because we showed that tough love, and
Right, exactly.
and they realized why we were doing that, because we care so much about for them.
Exactly.
And not saying that other people or educators don't, but we want to share that, because that worked for us to build the relationships and the trust, and helping with their intrinsic motivation too.
Yeah. Intrinsic motivation. They don't understand that feeling of success
Yep.
or growth from a bag of popcorn.
No.
That extrinsic is so short-lived.
Right.
And then it just gets them to want to see what the next thing is that they can get. And that is one of the layers of this onion that we're going to talk about at our next podcast, is how are we possibly doing a disservice societally to these students if they're always getting this extrinsic reward for basically behavior that is expected.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not even necessarily above and beyond.
Right.
It's just expected behavior. What is that doing societally as they go out into the workforce and other places? Yes. That will be where this conversation continues next week. But wow, thank you so much for listening to us today. Like I said, this topic is a big topic, and we are just at the beginning of it. We really hope that you will reach out to us with your thoughts, your ideas. We want to continue this discussion, but we need you to continue this discussion with us. And even if you email us, put it in list form, whatever. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. Yeah, we don't want to take more time from all the busyness that you have as an educator or a parent or a student. Remember, this is open for everybody to discuss. But with that said, when you send us your ideas, please send them to Edu-meh-cation, EDUMEHCATION @gmail.com. Let's continue this conversation. Yes. And just thank you so much for being a part of this podcast. And please, to help us out and just start spreading the word and the topics that we're sharing about. Please like and subscribe to our channel, and share with anybody and everybody. Please, even strangers. Well, remember, education may be a little meh, but let's change that together. Thanks. Thank you. Bye. Bye.